love is the most powerful healing force in the universe. And that if you can let go of all of the trauma, of the emotional injuries and emotional traumas, that when you focus on love, then you have the beginning of the tools you need to heal. And there's every level of love. So in dealing with illness, when you have something, especially something mysterious or something frustrating with your body, what happens is that you get angry at your body, or you get angry at life because your body is suffering. And then that generates a certain energy in your body, because if everything is made of energy, then the anger is an energy, right? And that's one of the things I love about Chinese medicine, is that every organ has a physical, emotional, and spiritual functions beyond the ones that we know them to have in Western medicine.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Dr. Lowe Show. I am looking forward to my guest on this episode. This is someone I've known for many years now in the health space, and we got reconnected recently at an event, and it was just so great to see her shining face. And I was like, why the heck have I not had you on the podcast yet? So here we are. We have Dr. Shiroko Sokitch. She is a medical doctor. She is all heart. She's the owner of Heart to Heart Medical Center, which is very appropriately named, in Santa Rosa, California since 1993. She's an expert at using many different modalities to bring your body to balance and wholeness. Her specialty is helping people who are struggling with mysterious symptoms to feel better, even if they don't have a diagnosis. And she brings hope and healing to difficult health conditions by blending Chinese medicine and Western medicine with a deep spiritual and emotional healing approach. We'll hear a little bit more about her story, but she's trained in general surgery. She worked as an ER doc for 10 years while attending acupuncture school. So obviously very unique focus. I'm sure that's very, very rare, but it gave her a broad range of medical experience. And her book, Healing When It Seems Impossible, 7 Keys to Defy the Odds, is a book about her unique and comprehensive healing approach. You can get it on Amazon. We'll make sure to put a link in the show notes to her book. And she's working on a second book, and we'll hear more about that too. So welcome to the show, Doc. It's so good to have you.
Oh, so good to be here. I loved that I got to run into you again.
I know, it was so nice, such a treat. I don't
Yeah.
even know when we first met, probably, I don't know, 10 years ago at maybe one of JJ's events,
Yeah. That
something
one.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always remember your singing.
Oh my gosh, I cringe. I remember singing one particular song. What song was that? It was very intense, but I was like, I don't know if I can do this range, but I tried.
You did. You were amazing. Yeah.
It's cool because I've been on the worship team at my church, and I didn't plan to digress into this, but I feel like me singing actually helped me so much with my own health, because I was probably increasing oxytocin, which I'm
Mhm.
sure we'll talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the power of doing things that light you up and make you happy. And
Yeah.
so anyway, we'll dive all into that. But I'm so interested in your story. I had a chance to look through your book and get a little bit about your background, and just
Mhm.
that you had a very life-changing moment at a very, very young age. You were 5 years old. Can you tell us what happened and what led you to doing what you do?
Sure. When I was 5, my parents had already split. My parents split when I was about 3, and I actually never got to see my dad again as a child until I was an adult. And so I'd already had one loss, and I was living in Germany with my grandma and my mom. And my great grandma lived next door, and she was the person who was my best friend. And so one night I was hanging out with her, and she collapsed and I couldn't get her up. So I ran and got my mom and grandma, and they called an ambulance, and she had to be lifted out of the her house through the window because the door wasn't big enough or something. I remember all that. And then I wasn't allowed to go to the hospital. So a few days later, my mom came and told me that she had died. And what she told me was that her heart stopped beating. And I remember thinking, first of all, devastation, because she said I was never going to see her again. And I'd already had one big loss. And then the second thought was, okay, what can I do to make her heart start beating again? So I even imagined like a machine that would make her heart start beating. And that was, I want to say that's the day that I decided to be a doctor, but And it sort of is. That was the day I decided I wanted to save lives and I wanted to figure out how to help people in that way. And it's been a journey ever since. So,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. I have a 6-year old. I just imagine something like that. That would have been just so much at such a young age.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's interesting because I remember that I also had a godmother, and for some reason a year or so later there was her husband was dying, and I for some reason was in their house. So there must be something about me about, being in these moments of transitions or something. Because even I think I was 7 at that time, and I had for some reason had to sleep over at their house, and he was dying, so um something about
Wow.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were meant to go through these monumental moments, and it sounds like it was really huge to lead you to what you do. And then fast forward, you end up going to medical school and you were a surgery resident, and maybe it was a little different than what you had expected it to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I chose surgery because the first time I got to save a life was when I was a third year medical student, and a guy came in with gunshot wounds through the ER. And I got to go to the ER, to the operating room with the patient because he had his gunshot wound, I think, was to his heart, and we saved his life. And it was so exciting. It was like this magical moment of saving somebody's life, like from now to now. But then when I was in surgery residency, it was not about that at all, really. And I became somewhat disillusioned for a lot of reasons. I think I had my first midlife crisis right around then. So at
Mhm.
age 27. Yeah.
I think you said in your book that at one point you like imagine even just like driving off the road, driving off a cliff or something, right? Just like
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
low point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were able to get a whole new passion in medicine. So how did that happen, that transition?
Well, I was still in residency, and I cannot remember who gave me this book for the life of me, but somebody told me that there was this book called The Web That Has No Weaver. And And I was like, "What's that?" So I went and read it, and it, like, opened my eyes to Chinese medicine because it was about acupuncture and Chinese medicine and how Chinese medicine is done, and I fell in love. And honestly, this many years later, I think I read that book in 1986, so that's a while. Almost 40 years later, I still love Chinese medicine. It's so perfect, and so many possibilities. And one thing kind of led to another. I started thinking, well, I'm going to go meet the author of this book and study with him. And then I met a respiratory therapist in my hospital who had just finished acupuncture school, and he kind of became my mentor. And I ended up going to acupuncture school in Seattle, and I met and I worked in the ER while I was going to acupuncture school. So I had this sort of parallel, you know, really intense Western medicine and studying Chinese medicine at the same time.
Mm.
So, yeah, it was.
I can imagine there was probably a big push-pull when you were in that Western medical environment with having that, newly budding acupuncture knowledge, just like all the ways you could really help someone aside from just all the
Yeah,
conventional therapies, right?
yeah. And the more I got into it, that I started giving people advice from the perspective of Chinese medicine. And then they started telling me, well, you can't do that in the ER.
Right.
And
Oh my
so,
gosh. So limited in what tools you can use, right?
yeah,
Such
yeah.
a tease, I'm sure. So I can understand why you decided to open your own thing, and then that's when you started your center, right? In '93, I think you said.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
long time you guys been rocking it. So let's talk about your book. You wrote this amazing book, Healing When It Seems Impossible, 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. And one of the things that stood out is just how oftentimes these people don't even have an actual diagnosis, and that makes sense. Like, I don't think we always fall into a framework necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there's so many conditions that still haven't even been discovered about how the body can have dysfunction. But sometimes you don't even really have to know the diagnosis. It's about understanding how the body operates and supporting that healing process, right? So
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
us, you talk about love being the first key in your book. Can you unpack what you mean by healing through love and how someone can begin that practice even in deep suffering?
Sure. Yeah. So for me, so of course, there's a blend of my personal experience in life and my work. But love came to me because I went through a divorce about 15 years ago now. And it broke my heart. And the journey back from having a broken heart to functioning again and healing again and being, whole was through love. It was through the love of friends and the love of my patients and the love of my work and the very deep caring and love of my friends, who, I remember the first time when I just couldn't be in my house and I went and lived on people's couches, and they let me be there and a friend who took me to the gym and let me just sit there and cry while he worked out, and it was nothing about having a new partner. It was about having friends who cared so deeply that I could be whole.
Mhm.
And I began to realize that love is the most powerful healing force in the universe, and that if you can let go of all of the trauma, of the emotional injuries and emotional traumas, that when you focus on love, then you have the beginning of the tools you need to heal. And
Mm.
there's every level of love. So in dealing with illness, when you have something, especially something mysterious or something frustrating with your body, what happens is that you get angry at your body or you get angry at life because your body is suffering, and then that generates a certain energy in your body, because if everything is made of energy, then the anger is an energy, right? And that's one of the things I love about Chinese medicine is that every organ has a physical, emotional, and spiritual functions beyond the ones that we know them to have in Western medicine. And when you start looking at that, it really makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
So love helps open your heart, helps you have energy. But it also, if you start thinking, if your body was your friend, what would you do? Instead of, if my body's my enemy, it's misbehaving, I don't like it. It's a different approach, so that's the most important thing, is really thinking about what would you do if you felt like your body was your friend?
Mm.
And what would you do if you really appreciated whatever message your body's trying to give you?
Mhm.
So
And how
that's
we can treat ourselves so differently than a friend.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was widowed a few years ago, a couple years ago, and I can honestly say that love absolutely got me through. Love from my community, and I had never felt such an outpouring of love before.
Yeah.
It really, I mean, the day he passed, I had, people at my house doing my yard and cleaning my floors and, fixing my broken dishwasher. And it was like, looking back, it was a time where I was just I was like floating. I was just so like dissociated, but that's really what got me through it completely. And also too, I think it really just speaks to the power that we can have in others healing by loving them. And
Yeah.
sometimes we may not know what to say or what to do, but just sitting in love and being there for them is truly the most powerful thing. Some people would say, I don't even know what to say, but I look back and I think that even saying the wrong thing, it's better than saying nothing, because I just remember that person reaching out, even if they would like fumble through what to say. But the main thing I got out of it was how loved I felt. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really, really was a huge part of my healing, big time.
Yeah.
Um, so from a physiological perspective, how does love, actually support healing and resilience? Like hormonally, we love talking about hormones on this show or pathways or whatever. Like, what does that
Sure.
look like?
So the love hormone is oxytocin, and the stress hormone is cortisol. And we need the stress hormone in order to, rise up when we have to do something drastic. But the love hormone actually provides energy and light and makes you happy. And, it's most produced when you have a baby or when you fall in love. But hugs also raise your cortisol, and joy raises your cortisol. So the things that bring you joy, the things that make you feel light, I tell a lot of my patients, because some of my patients just live in misery, and I'm like, please find something that makes you happy today. Just
Yeah.
one little thing that makes you happy today, whatever
Hmm.
that is. Maybe it's, I don't want to say eat a cookie, but maybe it's eating a cookie, or, or maybe it's hugging your dog, or something that makes you happy,
Yeah.
because oxytocin raises your energy level and it helps support all your other hormones. And you know that your heart produces hormones.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and there's so much research, like there's research done by the Heart Math Institute. They've been doing the research for as long as I've been in practice on the power of love. Really, I mean, they're talking about connecting to the heart and the heart variability, but oxytocin is produced in the heart.
Wow. That's wild. I didn't know
There's
that actually.
Yeah. There's
Mhm.
also another hormone, a kidney hormone that's produced in the heart. So, and there's more signals that come from the heart to the brain than vice versa.
Mm.
So the heart is its own intelligence, and so that alone is uh so powerful. And there's research that the Heart Math Institute did about, like, if you radiate love towards a strand of DNA, it actually changes the structure of the DNA.
Mm. That's amazing. And you can feel
Yeah.
your heart. I,
Yeah.
I can actually really feel it, and you can feel heartache as well.
Yeah.
Pain in your heart. So oxytocin and cortisol sound like they have a bit of like a converse relationship, right? So the
Yeah.
things you do that increase oxytocin helps to calm that cortisol response, helps you deal
Yeah.
with stress.
And you can actually, when we had the fires, I did a whole series because we had big fires here in 2017. I did a whole video series of
Mm.
trauma about that kind of thing. But you can actually take oxytocin as a supplement
Mhm.
when you've had PTSD, and it helps you come back in your body, you know.
So
Um,
cool. Yeah, we had Dr. Mai Tran on the show recently. I interviewed her from Harbor Compounding Pharmacy. We were
oh, I
talking
love her.
all the
Yeah.
oxytocin. Yeah. That's actually where I got to see you at the dinner that we had with
Yeah. Yeah.
for that pharmacy.
Love that
Yeah.
fancy. Yeah.
Amazing. Oxytocin is incredible, but it's one of those things you can do naturally. So you can have two people doing the exact same activity, and one person's getting massive oxytocin from it, the other person maybe not so much, because that maybe isn't what lights them up. So what I love about oxytocin is that it is so individual. It's like you really follow that passion, and that's what the answer is for you as an individual. What's going to do it for you?
Yeah. For me, it's dance.
Mm.
Yeah.
You kind of dance or just moving in any
I
way?
do, I do ballroom dance, but my favorite is salsa, the Latin dances, salsa and
Mhm.
bachata. Yeah.
I
And
love
it just
it.
lights me up, and it's so and so fun. Yeah.
I can't wait to dance more. Once I have this baby and recover, I want to start dancing too. My husband and I want to take some dance lessons together.
Oh,
And then you get the closeness too, right? So we're getting
yeah.
that oxytocin boost.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
I love Pilates, anything nature wise, anything dogs
Yeah.
related. I'm one of those, if you have a dog walking towards me, I will get all the way on the ground and just like kiss your dog. So might be a little, my husband's from Detroit. He's like, we don't do that with dogs where I grew up. But I'm like, bring it on. I'll get my dog fix. You talk about in your book the triangle of wellness.
Mhm.
So what is this?
So based on so even when I did ER 30 something years ago, we always had patients come in that did not fit a Western diagnosis that we could tag them with.
Mhm.
And in Western medicine, we spend a lot of time trying to tag a diagnosis.
Right.
What I've learned in the years is, one, that you may not always have a diagnosis that fits a pattern that we can put it in a box, right?
Right.
In Chinese medicine, what I love is that it's about energy, and it's about what energy's out of balance. So kind of because of what I've done for so many years, I came up with this triangle of wellness, taking both of those sciences, bringing them together. And it's your hormones, your nervous system, and your immune system.
Mhm.
And if those three structures are functioning, then you have the tools that you need to get well.
Mhm.
And so many people, don't have, especially with hormones. And now, more recent science, and this is the thing, is in the years that I've been practicing, there's so many things that have changed in science, that are now supporting. I always love when it supports Chinese medicine, of course, because that's
Yeah.
so cool when ancient wisdom from 5,000 years ago comes together with what they finally figured out in
Yeah, it's like, "Welcome to the party. We knew this, but okay."
yeah. But hormones, so many people, especially women in the last 20 something years, have been denied hormones and or any sort of hormonal support. And that plays such a big role, like we were talking about for surgery. If you don't have this structure intact, then anything you do isn't going to work.
Mhm.
I have a patient who recently came to me and she had diarrhea for like 7 years. And uh, I did a stool test and it showed a bunch of bacteria, but I also did a hormone test and she had no hormones, like none.
Mm.
And I tried working on the bacteria. And this is just one of those times where, I should have listened to my intuition first, but working on the bacteria did not help.
Mhm.
Supporting her hormones, then working on the bacteria, she got better.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And and of course, supporting the immune system and the nervous system together also makes a difference. So,
Mm. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I know, so your second book, Sailing Through Surgery, are you still working on it right now? Finishing it
yeah.
up? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you're writing that, because I really do think that it's so important to assess where a patient is prior to surgery and getting them to a place where they're able to handle surgery better. And yes, a surgery can help someone's underlying health if it's, addressing something that's at the root cause, but you can go into surgery and not be strong enough for surgery, and it can really cause harm, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I always like to check someone's hormones and their adrenals and deficiencies and things like that prior if possible, unless it's, something that really needs to happen very soon. But yeah, and of course, doctors and surgery doctors aren't doing this testing at all. It's like, let's just get you in and do the surgery. But
Mhm.
those tools just aren't available for them, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, more and more, there's some stuff on the internet you can find about supplements for surgery and stuff. But I always think about surgery as so imagine that the day that before your surgery, your energy's here. After your surgery, within less than a few hours, your energy's in an entirely different place,
Yeah, right.
no matter what the surgery is.
Mm-hmm.
And and you have to be ready for that. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the physical support, but then there's also an emotional, spiritual level, because we are emotional, spiritual beings. We are spirits that live in bodies. And so if we are here, we're here for a reason. And then
Mm-hmm.
if we suddenly get transported over here, we should be ready for that transportation, for that shift in our
Yeah.
energy. Uh,
Yeah.
I had eye surgery actually just a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I had double vision most of my life and my eyes were uneven. And I had searched for years trying to figure out what was the cause and finally found a doctor who got it right. Uh, but my brain has been operating with double vision most of my life. So shifting from double vision to single vision and holding my head, because I always held my head like this so I wouldn't see double.
Interesting.
And so for me, it was a huge miracle, but it's also a journey of, connecting with my eyes in a different way, connecting with the world in a different way, like all of this stuff that, so I had the opportunity to test my own theories, I guess I could say.
Uh-huh. Wow. How's the
Yeah.
how's the recovery been?
It's good. It's really good. And, but it is a journey, like because a certain, you know, I'm always introspective and trying to understand things from my own spirit, So of course I had to go, okay, my left eye didn't really connect with the world in the same way that my right eye did. And now that I don't have double vision, I hold my head differently, my balance is different, my focus is different. And I have a habit of many years of different, original focus. So it's been, how I dance is different.
Oh, right. No
Yeah.
longer lopsided. No.
Yeah. But
Wow,
it's very interesting. Yeah.
that is interesting. I'd love to know, I know that you have treated thousands of patients in your career. Are there
Mm.
any particular cases that stand out where, you use these different keys in your book, or the triangle, or using Chinese medicine? Just any particular cases that stand out that you want to share?
Sure. I have so many.
I'm sure.
I'll tell you, I'll tell you as many as you want, but I'll give you two that pop into my head right now. So one is a woman who I saw not so long ago, who is in her early 60s, I think, and has had a headache every day of her life for years. And also has chronic total body pain and has dealt with doctors and tried to figure out answers and came pretty frustrated. And she was hit by a car when she was 7,
Mm,
and she was in pain as of that time, and the doctors told her parents that she was faking it. So nobody paid attention to that, like for all of these years. So from age 7 to something 60. And she told me the story. And in Chinese medicine, certain things in your history are very important. So previous surgeries, because they can throw your body out of alignment, they can
mm,
create imbalances, and head injuries is a big one. And so I checked, and she had tenderness up here, which is a sign of that head injury is affecting her body. That first treatment, she had no headache for 2 days for the
mm,
first time in years, like
mhm,
before age 7. And then slowly, slowly over the course of treating her, she stopped having headaches just by balancing the energy imbalance in her body. And the other story I like to tell is a guy who was a firefighter, and he's in my book, I think. And he he had knee pain, and he didn't want to have surgery on his knee, and it was interfering with his work. And so he came for acupuncture, and I did a few treatments, and it didn't change. And I was like, something's not right, something's, because it's one of those things. He was fairly young. It should have been easy. The acupuncture should have fixed it, right? In my mind. So I
mhm.
started asking about his stresses, and he was like, "No, I don't have any stress. My life is good. I'm a firefighter. I'm married. My life is good. My wife is good,
The
blah blah."
firefighting isn't stressful, but okay.
Yeah, no. Firefighting's not stressful. In a small town, probably not as much.
Yeah.
Um, but then one day he came in and he said, "Oh, I just had lunch with my dad." Dad was an alcoholic.
Mm,
And, in the knees, the legs are in the first chakra. The legs have to do with your family or your tribe that you come from. So I use the chakras, but also the Chinese medicine, the meridians
mhm,
for each of the chakras, and each of the meridians has a pathway that goes with a certain type of emotion or a certain energy. And so I said, "Your dad's an alcoholic." What? And so I started talking to him about it, and I suggested he look into um, what is that AA, the one for families,
yeah, Al-Anon or something.
Al Anon, I
Yeah.
think. And I told him about a couple of books, and he started doing that. And he
Mhm.
came back the next time, and he was like, "Oh my God." He goes, "I had no idea." And his knee pain stopped.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like getting the like finding the root cause, is one of the things um in these mysterious conditions, right? Because both of those are mysterious conditions that people have struggled with for a long time and didn't get better for whatever reason. So I like to say there's many levels of looking at things
Mhm.
and many ways. Like for him, it was something emotional that was affecting him. For this other woman, it was her head injury that she had when she was 7 that affected her for her whole life. But it also went along with a bunch of trauma
Mhm.
because she was dismissed for so long.
Yeah, well, I would imagine just listening to her and believing her was a huge part of the healing,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
feeling heard and believed, you
yeah,
know? Because the body can just fight against itself. It's like, "You're broken. What's wrong with you?" The
yeah,
messages. Mhm.
exactly.
Wow. That is so cool. Do you have any other cases that come to mind?
Well, I have another one that's just now happening or sort of just now unfolding. A patient of
Uh,
mine has been with me for many years, and she got an episode of atrial fibrillation uh, recently or last week, actually, ended up in the hospital. And there were many warning signs that I had suggested, which sometimes when nothing's happening, people don't listen.
uh-huh.
And then she ended up in the hospital and, sudden onset of the sense of mortality. And so now she's really, really on it, and fear is running her life. And so for her, the miracle is to really not, because especially since it has to do with the heart, and the heart has to do with love and sending signals to the brain. I was like, no, you can't let fear run your life now. You have to let love in and let the love run your life, because that's what is the signal from your body. So we're still in
Mhm.
progress with that one.
Mm. Let love run your life. That's a quotable for sure.
Yeah.
Without revealing every detail, can you briefly walk through your 7 keys and,
Sure.
maybe which ones tend to be the most transformative or maybe that is individually based?
Yeah, it's kind of individually based, but I think they're each important. So love, of course, is first, and the physical wellness, of course, is important. That's kind of my role in a person's life, is to help them find physical balance. So there's
Mhm.
the triangle of wellness, which we talked about, and finding the root cause,
Mhm.
kind of go parallel. The third key is learning to listen to your body. And it goes parallel with the fourth key, which is finding your unique lifestyle, and they go back and forth. So learning to listen to your body, there's certain signals that your body sends, and the book has all of this information about that, and it has all of the information about finding your unique lifestyle. And lifestyle changes as we change, as we grow, in
Yeah.
many ways. Like for years I couldn't eat certain foods, and now I can, because so much healing has occurred. And so finding when is the right time in your life to follow certain things is within learning to listen to your body. And
Mhm.
I love Chinese medicine because how the organs work, you can actually learn what that is and use that information to listen to yourself. And all my patients who've been with me for a long time, like the liver goes with the emotion of anger,
Mhm.
and the heart goes with the emotion of joy. And so each organ has an emotion and a spiritual function and physical functions. So as you start to learn that, you can tune in.
And is it the lungs is grief, right? And
Yeah.
kidneys is fear? Is that
Yes.
okay, all right.
And the spleen is worry.
Spleen is worry. Got it. I have a little bit of Chinese background, not a lot, but enough to remember some of the main ones.
Yeah. And then the fifth key is emotions, which we fall right into. So recognizing that every physical in Chinese medicine, every illness comes either from outside your body, which would be something infectious, or inside your body, which would be something emotional.
Mm,
And so the root of almost everything is probably originates in deep emotional imbalance. And then that sets off that cascade of whatever we have. And the
mhm.
fifth or the sixth key is, um, gosh,
Is it patience and persistence?
patience and persistence. Yes. So I always say never give up. Because, and then that's the seventh key is that surrender and trust, trusting the process.
Mhm.
And again, they kind of go back and forth. Patience and persistence, meaning that you're on a journey. And what we forget about health is that our bodies are a school as much as the rest of our lives. We recognize when we interact with other people and what we respond to with other people that we have a thing to do with that person or with that community or with, whatever's going on in our lives. But we hardly ever recognize that this is our biggest school right here.
Mhm.
And if our body's being difficult, then it's trying to teach us something. And just the journey of finding the answers is part of it.
Mhm.
And so to not give up, to keep looking till you find something that helps you, to keep looking till you find an answer that makes you feel better or that makes sense to you or whatever. And is to have trust in that process, which is the seventh key, trusting the journey, trusting that you're being led in a certain direction and recognizing
Yes.
your spirits that live in these bodies. So
Yes, absolutely. And how healing is different than just the absence of symptoms, right? Like
yeah,
we're so trained with Western medicine that you have this symptom and you want to do an anti that symptom, whatever it is. And that's just, it's
yeah,
not really honoring the body, it's forcing the body. And sometimes you just need relief. Like I think it's understandable to want relief from a symptom, but doesn't necessarily mean that true healing has really happened and how it can take time. Like truly healing may take a year, may not
yeah,
be something that takes a week, you know? Um,
yeah.
so that's really important. It's something I try to explain to my patients. So I love leaving people with tangible takeaways. I mean, I think all of this has been amazing and just shifting that perspective is huge. Is there anything like maybe exercises or actions that you encourage for your patients or things that maybe someone can use right now to build that momentum towards healing?
Two things. One is focus on love in any way that you can. So if you have a pet or a family member or a person, if you can't put love on yourself, put love on someone else.
Mhm.
Or something else, like because any amount of love that you put out there comes back to you. It's like a boomerang. So even if you don't have any for here, give it to someone else because it'll come back.
Mm.
Two is start listening to your body. So a lot of my patients don't even know like what something feels like because they haven't ever tuned in. And that's it's one of the things I love doing with people is helping them see or feel what they feel like. I have this one patient who she's been in pain for years and years, also had migraines, but also had many other health issues and couldn't have a bowel movement without an enema, for years and has been to 500 doctors and listens to all of them because she tries to be a good patient. And when she started working with me, she didn't even know what to listen to in here. She was just living with guidance from out here. And I started
Right.
talking to her. You're just taking one little thing and listen to that,
Mhm.
feel that. And now she's like in this whole discovery process of, wow, I feel this. Oh, does that mean this? And, like just this journey of really like getting, and it can be exciting, to like finally feel what's going on in your body. And, oh, if you eat this, it feels like that.
Mhm.
You walk into a room and you get butterflies in your stomach. What does that mean? These are all signals we know. If you're hungry, what does it mean? If you're tired, should you go to bed or, lay down and rest? Just learning to listen to those little signals. So
Mhm.
that's what I'd start with.
Yeah, and it might be awkward at first. Like I think of a baby giraffe just fumbling around on new legs, but you get stronger with it and it becomes like a new language with yourself. And I think about the cases you mentioned, like the woman with the headaches, and you just believing her was part of the medicine, and the firefighter, you really digging deeper and listening to him was part of the medicine. And we can give that to ourselves. It doesn't have to come from outside of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really powerful stuff. Well, I love this. I could talk about all of this all day. But I know we have things to get to in our life, in our day. For those who want to follow what you're up to and get your second book when it comes out, we'll make sure to put a link in the show notes for your book that you've released. But the next one, how can people stay in the loop and follow what you're up to?
So I have my website, heart-to-heart-medical-center.com, and my book is on there, and there's a freebie on there for uh there's a workbook that you can get for the book.
Oh,
And I have also another freebie on the website for how to choose supplements.
amazing.
And I'm on Instagram as Dr. Shiroko, on Facebook as Heart to Heart Medical Center, and all the other places are Dr. Shiroko. So you can just find me I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, cool. I gotta check out your videos. That I didn't know.
Yeah, I do
How
a
often
video
do you make
every week
videos?
on Mondays. Yeah.
Ooh, every week.
Mhm.
Great. Well, we will do all the links in the show notes for that so you guys can follow along with Dr. Shiroko. And we just really appreciate you being with us today, sharing your knowledge and, just being courageous to redefine your journey from something that, started with trauma and healing that for yourself and paying it forward to other people. Really appreciate all the work you've done. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, and same to you.
Thank you.